Hello! So we are back to an environment that you're familiar with. So I have a lot of things to tell you, a lot of things that we've learned. We're back in Norway. If you're not familiar with my channel, if you've been here for not so long, we are back to the tiny studio over the garage, and we are super happy about it. I want this video to be It's basically going to be story time, because I want to tell you everything we've seen, everything we've experienced, everything we've learned through these 6 months of travels that have been beyond challenging. And I really didn't think it would be that challenging. I was signing up for the challenge, and so was Ademir, my boyfriend, but it went far beyond what we thought it would be for ourselves, for our relationship as well. So I want to share all of this with you, and then I also want to share the impact that it's going to have on my services, because your business always grows to the extent that you grow yourself, and I have grown a lot, therefore my business is going to grow as well. So I also want to share that with you in this video. So being a digital nomad was the dream of my life. Back when I was studying law, and even working as a lawyer, I was like, I really want to be a digital nomad. It's like, it has been something that has been with me for as long as I can remember. And when we decided to leave our jobs, that was the point. We left our jobs right when the pandemic hit, in like April, May, somewhere like that. And the point was to go traveling then, hoping that countries would open again. And our first destination was Bali, because we didn't want to do anything original. So we thought about going to Bali, and it turned out that Bali closed, and that's the reason why we ended up moving here in the studio over the garage. And we waited from November last year to June. We left in June, I think it was 2nd of June, to France. So when we arrived in France, I wanted to surprise my mom for her birthday. So we had arranged everything with my grandparents at whom we were staying. And so my mom is a very creative, very welcoming, very generous, and very spontaneous person. And she had met these guys who traveled around the world with their roulotte, like gypsies, with their horse and everything. So wonderful people. But she decided to welcome them in my grandparents' garden. And so my grandfather they had this castle. They made a video when I was there. And my grandfather is very adamant about, it's a castle. But my mom, she was like, whatever. So she invited these people to perform their show, which is the way they make a living there. So why I'm telling you this is because when we arrived, when I was supposed to surprise her, like cozy, for her birthday, actually there was like half the village that was there watching the show, and it was awkward as fuck. And so it was nice, because then she was happy to see me, but then she was also very uncomfortable with the fact that she was doing this a bit like under the carpet. So we ended up arriving, obviously nothing was ready, but that was what we were signing up for. And my grandparents don't live in that very old castle for half the year. So it was basically, full of spider web, and like how you can imagine an old castle from the 13th century would feel when it hasn't been lived in for 6 months. And on top of that, that in a self-development journey, you need to detach yourself from the inheritance of some family beliefs. And getting back there, being with my mom, and being in this whole belief system and this whole energy that I've been so used to because I grew up in it, it was dragging me back to before, basically. So it was really complicated between juggling between the person that I had become and that I was thriving to become as well, and being dragged back into some very old and very familiar energy. So that created a lot of conflict with my boyfriend. Some of the biggest fights that we've ever had. And that was extremely difficult, because there was tension all the time, and I was always feeling that I was, and I'm sure many people can relate to that, I was in sandwich between my family, the way things are set, and the way, yes, things are not optimally set, but still, and my boyfriend who was enforcing his boundaries, which he should do. So basically, it was extremely, extremely difficult. After 2 months, a month we spent there, we were so drained that we decided that before going to my dad's, which is another story, we would take a break in a fancy 5-star hotel in Carcassonne, which is a beautiful city in France, treating ourselves, splurging and thinking it's going to be okay, money's going to come back and everything. So we booked this 5-star hotel in Carcassonne, which turned out to be the weirdest 5-star hotel that I've ever been to. I haven't been to any other 5-star hotel, but the weirdest hotel that I've been to. It was so weird. You could feel how the people working there were sort of angry at their customers. It was really like, bonjour madame, bonjour monsieur, but with a, and nothing was open. I couldn't get any answer. Like, it was weird. We felt like we were doing something wrong by being there. There was like some complimentary drinks in the entrance hall, and when we had one, the receptionist looked at us like if we were doing something wrong. So we felt so uncomfortable and so at the wrong place, and not knowing, like, is there something we're doing wrong? Because it was the first time we were going to a 5-star hotel, and we were like, maybe we're not abiding by the social codes there. Yeah, so in the end, what was supposed to be a place to also heal our relationship and outside of the family turned out to be also, like, it just didn't work, and we were even more stressed, even more uncomfortable, arguing also, so that didn't work either. And then on to going to my dad's, where I was dragged even more into old me. Like many people, I do have big daddy issues, and I was just like drawn back to them in the same way, and it was so hard to fight my subconscious mind in these moments, because I was really completely like into my old self, into how I'm not comfortable expressing myself, how I don't enforce my boundaries with my dad, and all these kind of things. So that was also, so we ended up after a week at my dad's, where I did have a genuine laugh with my stepmom, so that's worth mentioning because that never happened before. We ended up moving to Rennes without knowing where we would go. In the meantime, we had applied for visas to get to Bali, and because Bali had opened, but then Bali closed again. So we arrived in Rennes. We had just learned that Bali was closed, and we had nowhere to go. So we just rented out an Airbnb that was very nice. I recorded this video in this Airbnb, by the way, and that was a nice moment. So we stayed there for 10 days. And Thailand opened. But then Thailand just didn't open like, everybody can come. No. Thailand opened with a list of conditions that were a handful to fill. So in order to enter Thailand, you needed, and I'm giving you all these details because I want you to really feel where I've been. And also, if you want to travel, then you know what to expect, because although I'm presenting these things as if, we were unlucky, we were not, because when you talk to other travelers and digital nomads, they go through all the things that we went through. We were just big noobs, and we were not thinking that things would be this way. So in order to get to Thailand, to be able to enter Thailand, we needed a specific paper, a certificate of entry. And in order to have the certificate of entry, you needed a negative PCR test. You need to have booked your quarantine hotel already, so that was 2,000 euros. Your flight tickets, and some other diverse papers, etc. And so in order to get that paper, in order to be able to board the flight, so we had to literally throw money out the window, hoping that the embassy would get back to us in due time, that everybody would get back to us in due time so we could actually get that paper, and then also hoping not to catch COVID, because obviously if we were positive to COVID, then there was nothing to do during that time. And so that was a window of a week that was so stressful, also because we had time zone difference. So it was basically just petrifying to be throwing out all this money without knowing if we would be able to go. And on top of that, Ademir fell sick. So that's also something I talk about in this video that I made there. And so we were just so afraid that he would have COVID. So we took so many PCR tests, like honestly, it was that was not nice. In the end, we got everything, and all our trains, flights, taxis, and transportations were on time, so we could make our flight and enter Thailand. And so when we arrived in Thailand, I got the most brutal PCR test I have ever had. It was really, really scary. But I am fine, so that's good. Then we were in a very nice quarantine hotel. So obviously that was like, because you could only order room service and everything. But it was very nice, and we were very happy to finally be there. So I also made a video there where I explained how I got there, and I was really genuinely happy. And it was nice also because it was this sort of cocoon away from the real world, and that was really, really nice. There was still this sort of, in a couple, in a relationship, when you've had a fight, even though you're good, you still have this sort of protection, emotional protection around your heart. You're still a bit on the defensive, and that's why, by the way, that other arguments like fuse quicker. It's because you're already in a state of defense. So we were in that state back then, so it was better, but it was still, when you're not fully connected and you're okay around each other, but you're not as close as you can be. From then, after these 2 weeks of quarantine, we booked a absolutely lovely cottage for the weekend, and that really did us a lot of good. It was a really nice place. And after that, so we stayed 2 days there, and then we had booked a very affordable Airbnb with like a penthouse with a jacuzzi on the balcony and everything. We were like, yeah, it's gonna be fun and everything. And we arrived there and we understood that, so that was on the island of Koh Samui. I haven't said that, but that was on the island of Koh Samui, which is a party island. Not our first choice, but that was everything we had. And the prices were nice, and it was still Thailand. So we arrived in this hotel that turned out to be the vibe there really made me think about, what you can imagine of the heavy, very unhealthy, very dirty kind of partying. And the penthouse we checked in to was stained with the weirdest stains everywhere. So many things were broken, like there were cigarette butts by the jacuzzi, and you could feel that some things had happened there. And we sat there for like 1 hour, and we were like, okay, we gotta find something else. We gotta figure out how to be somewhere else for the next month, and we have no clue, nothing booked. We looked at some Airbnbs, but there was nothing that was good or that was within what we were ready to pay. So we checked out of that place and went back to that cute little cottage, so that we had left the same day. and they helped us and everything. So we got the same cottage. It was very nice. And actually, they told us that they had this new cottage that had just opened, and that we could be staying there for a month, and that was possible. And we paid 1,400 euros for a month to stay there. And the reason why we made the decision to spend so much was because we were seeing it as just like anything else, you know, an investment on ourselves, an investment on our business, a great experience. And that's what money's for. Money's for play, money's for fun. So we went with that. And it was an absolutely gorgeous place. Like I was really feeling like, where I am like everyone else, and I'm like all the other travel influencers, and look at, I have a swimming pool in the middle of my house, and I really like that. And I think this house also was perfect because my desire was to ground myself in the 3D, in the incarnation, because I, like many spiritual people, if not all, have been living connected up there, but very little actually connected to enjoying the pleasures of being alive. So it was really nice to be there. It was really, really nice. But Koh Samui being a party island and this place being a hotel with like a lot of open villas, people were checking in for one night, threw a huge party, broke glass, and shouted everywhere, and then left. So because we were living in an open house, we didn't have any protection from noise, and also it was, people could see inside the house and everything. So it was nice on the pictures, and it was nice when during the day when we could hide, or people were more quiet or hadn't checked in. But then otherwise, it really, we felt we couldn't relax, and we felt we couldn't have a sense of home. After 1 month staying there, very tired of the partying, very tired of the ongoing base, we were extremely happy to be moving to the next island called Koh Phangan, which is more of the hippie island. So I was like, yay! Both we were like, we're gonna find some more spiritual people, it's gonna be more of our crowd, it's gonna be less partying, less heavy drinking, and maybe we can meet friends there, it's gonna be awesome. In the meantime, while being in this house, we had to figure out how to stay in Thailand, because our tourist visa exemption, because we are privileged passports, was running out. And because there is no visa for digital nomads, so that's what is called a legal vacuum, you'll be happy to know. There is no law covering a situation that exists in real life. There is no way, basically, of coming to Thailand and working from there. Being a digital nomad, basically handling your business from Thailand. And most people, what they do is that they go on visa runs. So they basically, when their visa exemption expires, they go to the neighboring country, they get a stamp, and then they fly back and they get another stamp, and it goes again for 2 months. So obviously that's not legal, but it's a sort of situation, the state of affairs that seems to be the current compromise. But because COVID, we couldn't do that. So we had to figure out a way to legally stay in Thailand. And the way we found was to take classes, because they do have this educational visa. And we found that one day when we were walking, because we like got off the taxi at the wrong place, there was a school saying no more visa runs, educational visa, blah, blah, blah. So we went in there and we understood how it was a business, and how basically if we were to sign up there, we wouldn't be learning much. So we decided to not go with that guy, who also sent us a picture of literally him holding, like shaking the hand of the head of immigration, And we were like, because we were asking him like, what are the chances of getting the visa, la la la, you know, I have a legal background, so I was interested in the house. And he was like, don't worry, here's a picture of me with the head of immigration, like, corruption. So we were like, we're not gonna do that. So we ended up finding a school on Koh Phangan that was a real school and that also would offer this educational visa, so we could actually take real classes. It was a very lovely school, like I have images here. And it was nice classes. It was really, really nice. But the thing was that we had to go there 3 times a week. So anyway, I'll get back to that. So we arrived in Koh Phangan, and you know, we thought it had been hard already. It was just starting. So we arrived in Koh Phangan and we had booked, and we were so happy about it. We had booked this awesome place by the water, like literally by the water, for 3 months, and we were so happy. It was like a little cottage, it was cute, and we were just by the ocean. And we, like the thought of living there by the sea after having been on Party Island and everything, and something much more simple, was really enchanting us. On était enchantés. But then we arrived, and then it turned out that this lovely place was just by one of the most traveled roads on the island. There are 3 roads, but one of the most traveled roads. So in the end, there was no moment, not even a minute, where there wouldn't be a loud scooter passing by. Coucou les filles. Alors on vient, il y a une grosse voiture qui passe. Ok, bon, j'espérais vous faire rêver un petit peu plus, mais il y a du trafic là. Including when we were sleeping and our head was literally just above the road. So I had planned back then to redo the Quantum Business School and to reshoot all the videos, and I wanted the sound of the waves, which I couldn't get there at any moment, even in the night. Like, it was really crazy. So obviously we had paid that place in advance, and it wasn't an Airbnb. So the next day, after realizing that, and also realizing how things were actually not so clean and quality compared to the price, because this one we were also spending 1,000 euros a month, we decided to leave, leaving our money there, so losing 2,000 again, just like thrown out the window, just because we didn't want to be living in traffic for 3 months. And we realized afterwards, also passing by this place again, that the roof had broken. So we were glad we decided to not stay there. So up we go. So all this with the extreme mental and physical tiredness of running our businesses, taking on coaching calls, showing up, trying to keep my leadership also in there while I was arguing with my boyfriend, not knowing where I would sleep, in a foreign country, and driving a car that didn't really feel safe. And I'm going to get back to the car because it wasn't safe after all. So in the end, we end up packing our stuff again and putting everything in the car and starting driving in the island and thinking, hopefully we are going to find a place by tonight. And so something that we didn't know either on this island was that it's a proper island. So we ended up visiting some places that, you know, on Google is just like, you go this road, na 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 na. In real life, with the highest, like in Thailand, people are just going to put the road on the mountain. So if the mountain is like this, they're not going to do like, you know, like you see in Europe or like other places, I guess. They're going to put the road like this on the mountain. So everybody on this island has pickup trucks, but we didn't have a pickup truck because we were coming from Koh Samui and we didn't think we would need to have a pickup truck. Also, it's too hard to drive. So we thought that the car would break down because it was an automatic and we couldn't just change gears, and it wasn't figuring out that we were in a fucking, like, I don't know, 30 degrees hill. And we got so scared that the brakes would break, and that the engine would explode because it was making super, super, super weird noise. So after a whole day of going left and right, up and down, and on the island without Wi-Fi, without data, to figure out where things were, we ended up at the end at a place that I had seen on Airbnb that I loved, but that was way too expensive on Airbnb. So we thought maybe because it's COVID and there are less people, maybe we can actually get that place. So we managed, when we were having a snack in a place that had Wi-Fi, to contact this guy through his old website. And it worked. So we went there, and we finally, when the sun was setting and we were getting eaten by mosquitoes, we finally settled in that place, for which we spent another 1,000 for the month, which we thought was worth it because the decor was beautiful. And it was beautiful also by sunlight. So I was super happy that we were staying at this place. And I remember really thinking, oh, that's what the universe was up to with the other one not working out. This one is literally the one that I had on the Spotify cover of my Nomads playlist. So it was a place that was symbolic to me. And so this place was by the sea. It was beautiful, and it was really, really nice until it started raining heavily, really heavily. Like, when they say monsoon, like, I had never seen that in my life, obviously, coming from Europe. And so this beautiful place had holes in the roof. And so we could, we had figured out where the holes were so we could keep our computers and precious things away from where the rain would fall. But one night it rained really heavily, and we realized that there was a hole right above our head in the bed. So we got woken up by rain literally flicking on our face during the night. So, and of course that was on a hard bed and with a mosquito net and insects everywhere, and that was okay because that was the insects part was, we knew we were signing up for this, and we don't mind insects so much, so it's just about not stepping on them. We're not scared of insects, but it was a lot of them and everywhere. And also, like, I don't mind insects living their life, but I don't want them in my bed, And of course they were also in the bed, and that was also really, really draining. So we were like, okay, we're just gonna stay in this place for a month. That was like, I don't know, literally a week after we had moved in, and still running the business, trying to do something with our relationship where we were arguing so much, and up to the point. So then that's back when I was launching the Quantum Leap Mastermind. The last day of the launch of the Quantum Leap Mastermind, we were celebrating and everything. And the fan, so there was no AC, obviously, in this place. And so the fan starting to go really, 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 really crazy. And the box with the fan and the switch to the fan started fuming. And we couldn't stop it because there was something that had gone, that was broken. So it was basically overheating. And so it started really fuming and smelling. It was about to set fire. So Ademir went to turn off the fuse that he was able to find. And then we went out, of course, to reach to the owner, who took a fire extinguisher, gave it to Ademir through the window, saying, "Feel free to use it." And that was his help for literally the place setting on fire. So we just stayed there, completely in shock, thinking, what do we do? It was like 11 or 12 in the night. Thinking, what do we do? Everything is closed. Like, where do we go? Because we weren't feeling safe, obviously, like sleeping there. So we actually reached out to the guy and we asked him if we could stay in another bungalow maybe for the night, because it's not safe. To which he said yes. He was a very kind guy. It's just that he was, when I saw him the first time, I felt like he didn't have, a bit like if he was floating. He didn't have roots in his energy, and very kind guy, but very not rooted at all, which is a bit like Compagnon itself. And so we ended up actually moving to another bungalow that was higher up in the trees. That was actually much nicer, and the beds were more comfortable, and we were less close to the sea and the crickets and the frogs that were extremely loud actually at night, so loud that I needed earplugs to sleep because they were so loud and there were so many. So then we moved to that place and we were like, again, finally we're going to be able to relax and we're going to be able to feel good. And it was beautiful with the light through the branches and the trees, and it really felt like a little tree house. But then it was really like raining time, monsoon time, and things hadn't been built for some reason to handle the rain. So each time it was raining, and when it rains there, it rains like it pours, water would enter the house. So we had to put like towels all the time. Very good Wi-Fi otherwise, like that was nice. Wi-Fi was good. And so obviously, because nothing was airtight or closed, and there was also like a lot of bugs and everything, and it does get to you, to have so many insects all the time in the shower, in the sink, on the floor, in the bed, on the mosquito net. And it even got to me, whom I would pride myself in being very comfortable around insects, but that was too much. And so it was extremely humid and extremely hot. So there started to be fleas in the bed that we couldn't get rid of, and I don't know how they just found there are some nice humans that we can eat. So we were literally getting woken up at night because we were getting bitten by fleas. And that was just 1 month. And of course, that's on top of the mosquitoes and everything. And in that bungalow, our kitchen was outside. And so there were monkeys. And I was so looking forward to seeing monkeys because I had never seen wild monkeys. But the monkeys figured out that we had stored our food outside in the kitchen because we're noobs. And so one day they just ravaged the place, and they opened our trash, opened our bags and our foods and everything, and they stole our bag of chips. So it was also funny. But we were basically then all the monkey family or pack, or I don't know how you say, came around because there was food, like obviously. Sorry. And and so we were just like stuck inside with monkeys around us, hoping that at some point they would get tired of searching our food and move on, which they did eventually. And then we had to clean everything up the next morning, obviously. So with all our, literally, it was gross. So that was for that place, where I still managed to record awesome videos for the Quantum Business School, because during the day it was beautiful with the sun and the waves in the background. And so there were also obviously good parts. But then I was really holding on to the belief that it would get better. And I didn't want to admit to myself, even one bit, that actually I wasn't happy and I wasn't satisfied there. My boyfriend, on the other hand, started experiencing anxiety, which he didn't know could happen to him. And he started feeling really, really, really low. And my boyfriend is one of these men that are always happy, for whom things are very uncomplicated. And it was the first time that I was seeing him so low, so depressed, so angry, so like, it was really impressive to see my partner like this. And that did trigger something in me. But I still wanted to travel because I had said I would travel. I had said I would be happy. I had decided with myself, and I had decided in my mind that I would be one of these travelers, you know, like luxury travelers, and I would do all these cool things. So it was really a matter of ego, which I understood afterwards, that I thought it was who I was, that person who travels and is happy about it. And I realized that actually that's not who I am. So anyways, we ended up double booking another place because we really couldn't stand the fleas eating us during our sleep. So some more money out the window. And then we moved temporarily to another place that was extremely expensive and extremely crappy, and once again like wet and uncomfortable, and mosquito net, and that was when I felt the most distance with Ademir, and where it actually crossed my mind that our relationship couldn't work out, and it crossed his as well, because I was holding on to that idea of my mind that I was such a person, and he was holding on to the idea of his mind that he was another kind of person, and that therefore we could not be happy together being different. And that's something I just want to drop here, like a little wisdom piece of wisdom here, is that your sense of who you are, so your sense of self, your sense of identity, is something that is a construct of your mind, just like your beliefs. So that's what happens when you have a real quantum leap, is that you realize that something that you thought was yourself, was actually a construct of your mind, a belief that you had about who you are. So that's when you have the biggest quantum leaps, is that when these core beliefs about your sense of self actually collapse. So that's something I had experienced before, and that's something I experienced again when I realized that I was believing that I was a certain type of person, whereas actually that's not really who I am in my essence. And so then we moved to the last place that we booked that was more modern, and this is one of the only modern villas actually on Koh Phangan, which is very bungalow beach life. And by the time we moved there, the island actually was flooded because it has been raining nonstop for 3 days, and it had been pouring for 3 days, and so the roads were flooded. Like, it's not. I saw afterwards that it could actually get worse, and I don't know how it is now. I don't want to know. But it was the water was so high that it was reaching the top of the wheels of our car, you know. So we moved to that new place that was really nice, really, really nice, and which is where I recorded the video, the last video. But as I told you, our clothes started molding, and so actually when I recorded that last video last time, I had recorded another video that I was planning on posting, but our car broke down, and a few other things happened that made us actually decide that, you know what, fuck it, we are just gonna go back home because this is not worth it. So that's the reason why I didn't post that video, and as I'm putting some videos here, I'm taking a bit of time editing actually this one, but I think it's going to be nicer for you to watch. So because yeah, we made that very quick decision to actually go back. And so the deciding factor was that we still had to go to school 3 times a week. So now I know quite some Thai actually, so I'm quite proud. But going to school involved us actually taking the most flooded road. And one day, coming back from school, we drove through a very deep puddle, through a mini lake, and as you can see here, and we actually, after I shot this video, the engine started to actually make a really, really weird noise, and the brakes, according to Ademir, started to feel like slippery and not reliable. And so the island is like this, so you can, and literally there's the ocean there, so you miss your turn, you fall into the ocean. So we actually stopped at the cafe that was awesome, an awesome cafe, 2 kilometers from home, and we realized that the lower part of the car had broken, and so we were extremely afraid that we had put water in the engine. It was still pouring, obviously, so we we had bought water, because you can't drink water from the tap, so you need to buy these big jugs of water, which is also not very zero waste friendly. So we had to park the car 2 kilometers away and bring our heavy water walk under the rain and in the flood back home to carry our water so we would be able to drink. And that was, I remember calling my dad for his birthday that night and bursting in tears and really saying that this is too much, this is not fun, this is not worth it. Because all the places that we booked were expensive places, because it wasn't so easy actually to find something that was cheap and that would have the comfort that we were hoping for. And so after that, so it was obviously a mess to go get the car back, walk back there under the rain and in the flood, fix it with people, and then we had to bring it back. So it was just a mess. And so we actually, after that, after a conversation with my coach, a conversation with my mom, I realized, you know what, this is not good. I'm not enjoying this. And I realized how this dream that I had was a dream. And you know, there are many things in life, and I think that's really the beauty of incarnation, right? Is that you get to experience them. You get to experience all these things and you get to learn from them. And I had that dream of becoming a digital nomad when I was in a very different place than I am today. Because today I'm really happy. I'm really happy actually with who I am, with my business, with my relationship, and I have the most wonderful partner I could hope for. And back then, when I was dreaming of that life without roots, without a home, it was coming from that place of I don't have a home, because with my mom we moved a lot and I never really had a home actually, on top of, as a very spiritual person, not really feeling at home here on earth as well. So I had, and that's, you see how my beliefs actually created my reality. I had created that fantasy of being rootless from a place of unhappiness, so not from a place of true abundance and true love and true joy of being myself and being where I'm at in life. So that's really what I realized, and that's when I had this sense of self actually appearing to me, like this construct that I had made. And it's from that place that we actually decided to move back and to plant our roots, and also for me to allow myself to live even more in love and rooted in love, which is the essence of a human being, of a soul, obviously, and also of a human being, and you add like pleasure on top uh, with the anchoring in the 3D. So we spent a wonderful week in Bangkok before taking our flight, where we literally just stayed in the hotel and enjoyed the comfort, enjoyed the enjoyed the city as well, because with allowing myself to connect more to 3D pleasure incarnation, I was missing that on that island of Koh Phangan, which is very in the rejection of all this. So when you imagine people who set themselves in the margin of society, with this anger against society, and with this rejection of the good parts also of society, and so there was no bookstore there. It's Sicily, but in Bangkok we had a book. We brought 20 books back. I think we had been so deprived. Also, there was a big self-enrichment, they call it, section over there, and so it was so good to just be in that energy also of money, of flow, of 3Dness, and of earthy pleasures, and it was really, really nice to be there. And coming back here, I like, when you've been used to living in struggle, and I think that's going to resonate with a lot of you, when you've been used to living in struggle, you build struggle for yourself, because that's what you're used to. That's what your subconscious mind believes is the right thing to do, because that's what it has been fed, and that's what it has always seen. But actually, here, after having created struggle for myself, I'm able to see, even though I can't stand fully in the bathroom because the roof is like this, I'm able to see how comfortable it is to have a home, and how comfortable, and you're like, duh, but how comfortable it is to have a home, even though it's a tiny home over the garage. And the beauty also of having your own things, and having things that you cherish, and things that you care about, and things that just make you happy. And this morning I woke up, and it's snowing outside right now, and I had my coffee, and I was next to my boyfriend, and I was looking at the snowfall, and I was like, you know what, this has been my dream life from the start, and I've always wanted that. And actually, I've always wanted to plant these roots, and I've always wanted to plant myself in love deep down. This is what we all want. And I realized actually how easy it is to ground yourself in that love. You don't need anything fancy, and you for sure don't need any money. You don't need money to ground yourself in love. And so I guess that's where I'm shifting. I'm already at 1 hour video, my goodness. That's where I'm shifting to what I want to share with you regarding my services and my content as well, as a consequence. I'm really feeling this abundance, because everything is here, and because everything that I've been creating with my money, so the fancy places and everything, hasn't brought me as much joy as the snow this morning falling outside. So although I want to keep on sharing with you the financial abundance that I manifest, I don't want you to think that is what is important. I call this channel Abundant AF, because I really want you to manifest abundance. And abundance is not money. Money is part of abundance, but it's definitely not the main part. Abundance is this state of being, of feeling like everything is complete, that you love yourself, like for real, that you're really happy with who you are and how you speak and how you show up, and that you make a 1 hour video talking about yourself because you know it's going to reach the right people and you don't have to fake anything. It's about being happy with where you are, also in your current circumstances. And I see this apartment with completely different eyes now, that I'm just so happy to be where I am, to be whom I am, to be with my partner, to be exactly, this small town. It's super simple and it's not grand, it's not pretentious, it's not glamorous, but it makes me so fucking happy. And so that is abundance. And financial abundance comes as a consequence of that inner state of being, because that's when you're vibrating on the right frequency, which I explain here if you want to know more about it. So I want to widen my offering, actually, because so far I have enjoyed teaching business so much, and I love teaching business. But the way I teach business, obviously, because we're talking quantum, is with helping you have these quantum leaps and identify the beliefs that are holding you back, and replace them with more empowering beliefs. But that's something you can do with every single thing in your life. That's not only something you can do with business. And I see how helpful I am, not only when I teach business, but when I help people actually with their relationship, with getting a better job, with simply being happier with themselves and getting to love themselves. So I am actually widening my offering. So the business part is going to remain the Quantum Business School, which is absolutely amazing. But I also want to open space and spots for life coaching, relationship coaching. So basically allowing yourself to be you and to create that abundance for yourself. It can be through your business, but it can also be through everything else. So I have updated my services. I'm not going to detail everything here, but if you're interested, you can check out in the description how you can work with me today. As you know, I'm not on Instagram anymore. I explain why here. So if you want to be close to me, if you want to be around me, you can find me on YouTube and on TikTok as well. And I am writing more newsletters now because I do love writing. So you can also join the Wise and Wealthy newsletter. So I'll put everything down in the description. I'm going to end this video here. Maybe you spent the evening with me. I don't know. It's almost like a mini series. It's your Christmas series. So I hope you had fun watching this video. I hope it was interesting, and I really hope you had fun watching this video because it was very nice for me to make. And thank you for watching it throughout. I really appreciate that you spent a whole hour with me. And I'm gonna see you in the next one. I have more time, more energy, less worries about and in my life. So I'll be super happy to be making more YouTube videos on how to manifest abundance in your life and live in consciousness. So have a wonderful day, a wonderful evening, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you for cooking, Manuel.
Oh, I thought it was a lizard. Do you like it, Manamo?